Ramadan Kareem to everyone, and welcome to yet another workshop of our series of workshops on this semester. On today's workshop, Dr. Mohammed Haseen will share with us some tips on improving academic writing that we hope will be useful for advanced BA students and MA, as well as postgraduate students. Dr. Muhammad will particularly focus on improving writing on the sentence level using correct terminology and um, applying peer review feedback to improve writing. Uh, Dr. Muhammad uh, is a faculty member at the English Language Institution at King Abdulaziz University. He has um, a vast experience that spans over 3 decades as an educator, trainer, curriculum designer, mentor, and researcher. He published widely, and we wish him all the luck today. Mr. Muhammad, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Soha. Ramadan Kareem to everyone, whoever is around. And as the topic suggests, I'd love to talk a lot about this topic, academic writing. Now, when we think of academic writing, how you guys distinguish academic writing from the general writing? Can I have some input in the chat box? What distinguishes academic writing from the other writings as a genre, or and how do we need to invest a bit differently? How do we need to treat this genre per se in a specific manner? And can I have something in the chat box? What actually makes it different from, okay, register? So you mean intended audience, maybe specific target? Yes, Khalid Omar, yeah, we need to use a lot of formal language. Yes, we can't afford to have the liberty of using our day-to-day language. We need to, yes, utilize, employ more of academic vocabulary, and had its particular structure. And it may sound to be a bit challenging for those who haven't delved deeper into the specific lexis that's required. Also, it depends upon the target audience. That I mean, usually we go for journal writing and book reviews, and there are so many kinds of academic writing where we have to be a bit more cautious about the lexis, the choice of words, the diction. And also we have some conventions, and it can be traditional ones, it can be not so traditional one. So academic writing is simple writing. Huda, it is simple if you get used to and if you develop the expertise of having very precise and effective writing. So let's have a look. This is not an exhaustive list of all the kinds of writing that we are talking about today, but more or less these are the major categories or major chunks of academic writing. Abstract, obviously, you know, we need to learn to be able to use academic writing for abstract writing, because all the graduate students, postgraduate students, they're supposed to write abstract for the research proposals, for the whether it's leading to a dissertation and post-graduation or is award of the PhD. So abstract. Then we have annotated bibliography, where we have to be careful about what to begin with, the name of the author, then the contribution, and then the year of the publication, all that. But mostly academic journal articles, and mostly we are supposed to write articles. And uh, writing articles, depending upon the areas like social studies, or could be English language teaching or scientific journals. And so, and then we have book report, we have conference paper. Conference papers, obviously, we begin with abstract, and as I mentioned, the dissertation is one of the key areas where our graduate students, postgraduate students, are supposed to try their luck or try their hands at coming up with really what was called, a standard academic writing. Essay could be of different kinds of discursive or argumentative or simply explications. Then we have literary criticism. Then we have research papers, and we have research proposals. And so these are some of the areas where we are supposed to uh, try our hands with academic writing. Now, what's the process that gets involved in academic writing? Obviously, you need to know your topic. The topic could be the research gap. It could be just as I mentioned in the essay writing. Could be dissertation, particular scientific area. It could be your own reflections, research reflection, reflective research, action research. So this is ideally it's an ongoing cycle. I should not say it's a vicious cycle. We need to read and research, but it gets a vicious cycle over the years, because you need to know the topic, then we start reading, and obviously literature review, literature reading, and doing the researches. Then we need to have an outline and plan. Now, what ways outline helps us? Any input in the chat box? What do we get from the outline? Why do we need an outline? Do we really need an outline? And what best describes an outline? Is it the part of the whole or the whole of the part? Yes, so it could be as simple as brainstorming, gathering the ideas, also graphic design, or that helps us to eliminate the unnecessary things. Yes, could be subheadings, could be the guide to it's a roadmap, a kind of sketchy broad guidelines for how to go about the. So obviously, yes, organized structure helps us to include as much as possible within the framework. If we don't have an outline, we don't plan to succeed, we plan to fail actually. So but it doesn't always, very effective, in the sense that every outline is not an ultimate outline. There is something we call reverse outline. Any idea about what is reverse outline? Anyone out there? When it comes to outline, we can have reverse outline. It's supposed to be, like if you read an article or any kind of dissertation already published, what you do, parse it, recalibrate it, and yes, after finishing the writing, uh, reverse outline is like instead of starting from introduction to then moving on to uh, ideas, supporting ideas, and as we always plan our writing. Then we move on to para 2, the para 3, where we have more of the general ideas, supporting ideas, and conclusion and all that. Now, when we do reverse outline, we do the exactly opposite. We go to the conclusion part, and then we get back to instead of creating outline before writing. Yes, you analyze your draft to identify the structure. Yeah, it's like looking at others' drafts or other people's creative work of art or kind of article, and we get to know the plan of the writer. How he could have achieved this ultimate composition, starting from introduction to. So it's the other way around. So outline helps us to, no doubt, have lots of graphic design, graphic displays here. Then we start writing, and then we, of course, the review and edit helps us a lot, because if you don't have a relook our own writing, we really don't know what has gone into the making of that paragraph and first draft. So multiple drafts really helps us in getting to know whether we are right on the track, whether we can substitute the things, whether you can have a better academic vocabulary, we can have hedging, we can have the substitutions, and I mean ornamental language, when we effective, precise, and ornamental language that we need to sometimes know how to. Now, there's a lot of buzz about, these days, and I can't shy away from not talking about the AI application and this online tools, and whether it's, traditional tools like. So, as far as learners concerned, we can have some classroom AI rules about, having permission to use an AI on the assignment, or the link to the AI conversation. These are general broad guidelines, because these days most of the tools which are available right, and we have been using them, Mendeley and Zotero and all that. Without that, we cannot have the biblical and annotations, and because it saves us a lot. I mean, most of the heavy load can be lifted from these online tools, and the thing is, we have to do it ethically, and we have to employ it to groom us, or spruce up our writing ability, instead of total depending on. So of course productive struggle is a part of the learning. I mean, it's not like it's all plagiarism. Productive struggle is part of learning. Honest learning honestly works, so if we are responsible, and we cater to the dire needs of our framework and the structures, and the basic rudimentaries, we can have some of the biases and errors, but still we can employ. And I'm going to talk a lot about, what are those AI tools which can be harnessed, which can be employed, and which can be. So now, what is the purpose of the writing? When we think of the purpose, uh, what actually, yes, of course, we cannot, do away, or we cannot simply brush aside, or that, gone, like it's immoral to employ some of those online tools and all that, because they are ready help assistance, and it comes handy, and it really takes away lots of our struggle, and the struggle is pointless. So what do we actually, why do we write? What is the general purpose? It could be to inform, or to persuade, or entertain. uh, what is this chat for? I courses, and I don't get it. Every like, does it have to do something with me? General purpose, to inform, persuade, or entertain. So, oh, it's an ad. All right. Anyway, just ignore it, if it's an ad for whatever. Anyway, my specific purpose. Now, general purpose, of course, all of us do write for general writing, and my academy writing. We need to address subjects for specific purposes. Now, as I told you that we write for journals, we write for research, we write for, sometimes you write for argumentations, sometimes you write for persuasion. Persuasion is to convince the readers that whatever point of view you are holding it holds a lot of value and it has to be accepted. So we need supporting data to convince the reader. Now, what could be the supporting data other than scientific journals and all? I mean, it comes to ELT writing, now, what are the supporting data? We don't have any data. We don't go by algorithm. We only go by our own lexicography, our own ways of narration, our own ways of description, whether they're powerful adjectives, descriptive words. We go for exposition to explain clarities or something. So our tools and our I'll say the data will be our heightened lexis. Substitutional, I mean, we can always substitute one word for the other. We can always go for a structure which are more of academic and than general in nature. For example, active voice and passive voice. Now, what do you think of using active voice and passive voice for our research articles, journal articles? Active voice is to be preferred or has to be all active voice throughout, or we need to vary them? Both would be fantastic. Yes, Rida. Actually, we need to go for a finest combination of uh, both active voice throughout will make it dull, will make it really dull. Also, if we use all passive, it's going to make it dull even more of like hackneyed and repetitive. So it's better to have a fine combination of both. Like when we think of uh, combination of both would be fantastic, because in scientific journals, for especially for scientific journals, I'm talking about where we don't need to know who is saying it. It's not about who is saying it. It's all about what is being said. That's more important than who is saying it. So description, narration, telling the story using both a good combination of active and passive voices, and we can have visuals as for the outlay or graphic design is concerned. Actually, I was having this napkin AI. This is an AI napkin. It gives a brilliant visual instantaneously. I don't know. It might take a few minutes. Like look at this. Writing smarter secrets to boost your academic writing skills. Now, if I want to have understand the audience, now let's say how it works and how it gives us instantaneous. For example, let's say this. I hope you're seeing this, right? It's visible to everyone, and this is how for making mind map, of course, yes. And this is really brilliant. Like why? Even when we submit our uh, writing journaling or writing, and this gives us a lot of leverage at a reflective piece of, so expertise level, reader expectations, the audience understanding and interest, aligning content with reader passions. Now some readers are really passionate about, they want us to work on yeah. So this instant
It seems we've lost Dr. Muhammad. I can see him reconnecting.
No, no
You're here.
issues. I accidentally closed the window,
All right.
and that window was our Blackboard window. Anyway, uh, now I'm back to the screen now. So I need to share the stuff once again. Now, share. I'm going to share. Uh, mhm. Now you can see. Let me start from the beginning. Okay. Writing smarter, secrets to boosting academic writing skills. Now, how do we really employ AI tools? And now I'm going to talk a lot about AI tools being, and I want you to read through these descriptions of the AI tools that are widely and prevalent, and everybody is onto it. Now, we'll explore how AI tools can enhance our academic writing. Not only it helps with grammar, obviously, Grammarly is everyone's baby now. It also helps us with the style and uh, citations. Then we have uh, how many of you have used AI writing tools before? Can we use them in our professional assignments? Why not? As long as we give credit, the due credit, also cite. Also, let's say we follow the guidelines of our institutional guidelines, and every institution has come up with their own guidelines now. I mean, it's no brainer not to and avoid completely. It's no more a taboo, I guess. And world over, every institution they are employing, and because they are very effective tools, we can't do without them. In fact, we can't do without them. So, how many of you have used AI writing tools before? And could you please mention some of the tools that are being used by you guys in general, like Quillbot? Yeah, of course, I was going to talk about that. The next, Quillbot checks your grammar, it checks your syntactical errors, at least gives an overview of, yes, paraphrasing, plagiarism checker, turn it in. I mean, we can also get to see whether what we are doing is immunize AI. Look, the plethora of, and there's a whole host of AI tools being used by. Gamma is not just for presentation. NTH, whoever is, Gamma is not for any of this. Gamma is for presentation tool, as I know. Grammarly, of course, yes, Grammarly, of course. We need to know. Uh, Now, the rise of AI in academia is transforming various aspects of academic work, like writing assistance is one of the most popular applications. Now, what you mention here, all about, they're all writing assistants, in fact. But what extent they are reliable, to what extent we can leverage, employ them in our daily write-ups, graduate students or postgraduate students or strugglers or those who have writing blocks, and helps us overcome the writing blocks, and we can have a free writing exercises, and AI tools can help at every stage of the writing process. Now, can you think of some of the stages of writing? Okay. Can you give me some of the stages of writing? Your device should open microphone. Guys, can you give me the stages of the writing? Right from the scratch. How do we start writing? Whether it's a free writing, free, like we talked about mind mapping, we talk about brainstorming, we talk about, yes, brainstorming. But do you think that we really, our writing starts from brainstorming? Is there something that happens even before brainstorming? introduction, then main body, then conclusion. Yeah, of course. Now, what I was talking about, that when we think of brainstorming, we think of the graphic display and all that. In fact, even before we pen down or start scratching on the piece of paper, lots has already happened in our brain, in the background of them, because we have an audience, we have a purpose, we have the intended outcome to be thought of, and then we scribble on the paper. What we scribble on the paper actually had already gone into your inner psyche. Inner psyche means good writers, they always they have the subconscious level, conscious, subconscious. I don't need to discuss those inner sanctorium of the writers, and that's how we have writing blocks and all that. But for general writing, of course, we need to scribble on paper. We plan, we organize, then we again plan. I mean, we plan and then we replan, and when we and then we scribble the first draft. So when we what concerns might you have about using AI in academic writing? Can I have some of the concern, like someone just pointed out that are we allowed to? That means the fear that there could be punitive measures and we can be reprimanded. It can be a taboo. We can be held responsible for resorting to plagiarism. Now, what uh, what are your concerns in plagiarism issues? Yes. Now, I've heard so much about plagiarism issues for the last 1 year that, okay, obviously, reading a lot, having a general concept and brainstorming, organizing thought and writing the first draft. Yeah, yeah, well said. It's quite, it sums up this a lot of things, Meera. Yeah, this is a point student. Yeah, obviously, we need to, when I think of, so the concern is plagiarism. Now, how can we, instead of resorting to plagiarism, how can we leverage this highly potential AI tools? Obviously, the first draft. Now, which stage of our writing can we employ this without resorting to plagiarism? And even if we do plagiarize for the first, first draft and second draft, the final product will be your own. There are no tools, that will give you a ready composition with the intended outcome that you are thinking of. So the concerns can be legitimate to the extent, but there are so many other areas where we can really harness the potential. So uh, pro writing aid tools, Now, pro writing aid tools, robust plagiarism checking, in fact, is the other way around. It checks for the plagiarism also, and it also helps in proofreading. It improves our clarity and engagement in writing, offers over 10 rephrases daily for language varieties. Now, when we think of rephrasing, substitutions, and synonyms, antonyms, we go for literary devices that makes our writing really academic. In fact, we have a ready reckoner of some of the, we call it bank, a repository. Now, if you have a bank where you need to readily access to these banks in scientific journal writings, and so rephrasing really helps in our improving a lot. And everyone will, someone already mentioned about Quillbot. Now, what does this offer us? It rewrites, adjusts text tone for clarity. Now, how many times can we adjust our writing, and do we have the patience for that? Can we have the patience for writing and writing and writing and scribbling? And then now, if you come up with 3 4 model write-ups, and then you compare your writing and you see the lacuna, the kind of like the things which are lacking in, and the way you can paraphrase modes, and you can also use the built-in thesaurus. So you don't have to Google it. You don't have to open your dictionary. You don't have to look for and groping and grappling with the issue of having the substitution words. So we can have a thesaurus that's inbuilt in it, and it's really on a device. So it integrates with Chrome and Microsoft Word so beautifully. And in what situations might paraphrasing be useful in work? Can you give me an example where paraphrasing helps us? Yeah, of course, we need some cautions. Of course, we cannot blindfoldly follow the AI tool. As I told you, that AI tools are not genies, and they are not. They don't have any ready-made solutions for them. As far as as an assistant, they're not replacing the writers. They are simply substituting the tasks that we have to undergo. The kind of now, in what situation might paraphrasing be useful in your work? Can I have something? In what situation paraphrasing helps us? Supposedly, we are talking about some of the concepts which are really not when we quote the quotes or others. Yes, yes, we need to rephrase sometimes, but sometimes we quote exactly as it is. But if you want to add your own perspective or perception towards an comment or a post, you can have a rephrasing, paraphrasing, also to make it simpler, more understandable. Yes, especially the concepts which are not easily comprehensible or cannot be made to understand, or like very vague or concepts of. There are certain philosophy, especially in philosophy, there are so many concepts which are really hard to. So paraphrasing really helps us in, yes, in those situations. And actually, most of the time when we talk of things to explain or we describe, actually what we are doing paraphrasing. We are making simpler, we are saying in a different words. Also we say, to tell you the truth, to tell you the facts in other words. We can also sum up like this: what I mean, what I mean, what I mean. When I say what I mean, yes, AI tools are rephrase in general. They don't use the technical words related to our subjects. You can look for the technical words with the word. Depends upon what kind of prompts you are giving. How you, as I told you, that you can leverage your expertise, your own, writing abilities to coax and comb and also to tease the AI tools. Actually, AI tools are great things for those people who can employ them for their best purposes. Those who don't have any background of writing, it's like useless. It's not a loaded gun. So the loaded gun is for those who know how to fire. So obviously, paraphrasing, it helps us a lot, and we need to utilize this paraphrasing. Now, there is one Lumen writer tailored for academia. Now, this is for academic writing. I will just suggest you to use them. It generates content, organize ideas logically, the logical fallacy, a logical explanation. Sometimes we are at a loss. We don't know really which paragraph should go what, how we alternate those paragraphs, how we fix the things which comes, first and then next, and what is the explanation, what is the exposition, what is the conclusion. So it really generates content, organize ideas logically, and obviously it proofreads. Also proofreads means grammarly, it's a great proofreader, no doubt, but still I find it sometimes lacking in, because it only offers you suggestive alternatives, and you need to look at whether what is it suggesting is acceptable or not. It's not up to the tool to decide what you really want. In fact, it's up to you to decide. So it helps with proofreading, helps produce well-structured papers. How could idea organization tools benefit your writing process? Can you give me an example of the idea organization tools? How could you benefit from the writing process will help us, benefit from this organization tools? Now, what is an organization? What an organization involves, in fact, how do you organize our writing? Now we have a beginning, right? Obviously, every writing has to have a beginning. Now we say, okay, to begin with, we have thesis structure. But does it have to be thesis structure at the beginning? Does the thesis statement always come at the beginning? What do you say, guys? Does this statement always come at the beginning, or it's somewhere inside? Not necessarily. Yeah, you're right. It's not necessary to have a beginning with our own thesis statement. Sometimes the thesis statement is hidden, and we don't begin with yes. So does the thesis statement always come in the at the start? No, actually no. So we need to organize ideas depending upon the kind of audience, the kind of intended outcome that we have. So it depends upon the types of writing. What types of writing suits what. Like in argumentative essay, we need to develop argument, then counter argument, then again argument, then counter argument. Then we can have refutal. Now, when we refute in the argumentative essay, how do we refute it? Do we use the mostly thesis, or we actually we refute by our own belief systems? Now, have you heard of this Trinka, technical writing assistant? Anyone here who has heard of this? Mendeley and OneNote are good organization tools for research writing. Yeah, of course. Yes, I agree with you. Yes. Mendeley has always been there. OneNote, obviously, is from Microsoft, so it's usual stuff. There's nothing. But the good thing is about all of them. They're coming up with AI assisted AI tools, they embedded. So you don't have to have the bother to borrow to subscribe to. Uh, Okay, Trunka, technical writing assistant. This is designed for academic and technical writing. Technical writing, especially when we think of scientific journaling, scientific papers, also about particular area of writing. It could be very specific. Features grammar, spell checking. Now, spell checking is one of the pain for all the writers. Most of the time we spend most of our time checking on the spellings. In fact, if there are suggested spelling errors and all that, we could get away with this kind of futile exercise of having to having to check every spelling we come up with. You might argue that we will lose our expertise of knowing the right spelling. But the thing is that we will always, as a human being, we will always be not so confident about spellings all the time. I'm losing my confidence these days myself. Because spelling they have, unless you break down into syllables, and we know for sure that. And then some of the spelling rules are very different. Like the American spelling and British spelling, and we follow which one depends upon. So sometimes really, you could be right both ways. So this Trinka offers citation analysis and journal finder. That means you could look for the the whole list of the journal, and which of these features would be the most useful in the field. Now, can you think of how are you going to use Trinka for your technical writing assistance? It could be plagiarism detection. Yes, it could be plagiarism detections. A citation, of course, we always need to have some citations, whether it's APA or MLA or whatever. I'm going to talk about those kind of citation and the style, of writing. So obviously, some of these features they come handy, and we need to think of. Now, what are the other notable AI writing tools? Have a look, and if you're familiar with them, now let's share it in the group, and let's share with the team. I'm not an expert on all of these, but yeah, I know that like size space paraphrase, that's a wonderful and a beautiful, actually I found very effective. And if you could share your experience with one of these. Scholar C, not scholarly. Okay, Scholar C. Yes, yeah, you're right. Now Yomu AI, rightful academizer, paper poll, size space. I will especially mention the size space, and this is maybe it's a paid version, not free for. Have you used any of these, and what was the experience? Manchester paraphrasing. Yes, I'm getting to be enlightened upon these. I thought I know some of them, but there are so many I may not be really familiar with. So you guys are better than have a better grasp of these things. And I'm happy that many of you are already in command of all of this. Uh, Now, what are the benefits? When it comes to one direct benefit, it's time saving, no doubt. And I'm really on for it. I'm really a big advocate of this kind of because it saves a lot of your the human efforts which could have gone into which can go into being a creative writer. When it comes to creative writing, obviously these tools won't be really helpful. But when it comes to repetitive and bland kind of automated, repetitive, and obviously gathering information, knowledge seeking subjects, like we go for so many journals and book and all that, and we keep gleaning up for literature reader. I'm a literature review. Now, how many books do we need to and do we need to read just to get to the bottom of? And you get lost, because in-depth subject knowledge to find that scholarship is for summarizing academic article and second showing main sections. Yes, you're right. You can read lots of articles in a short time. Yeah, that's what I'm impressing upon all of my audience, that yes, it gives you a ready glimpse of all those relevant world over researches that were going on undergoing in the last couple of years. May not be very old entries, and of course excellent for PhD students. So proofreading and editing exercise can always be, facilitated. And how much time do you typically spend editing? Uh, if we can uh, really think of that, we look forward to someone expert on and for just a linguistic lacuna. I call it linguistic lacuna. And we look for experts on, and we have some sort of uh, editing services available, but we have to run around for those things. If you could manage 10, 20, 50 to 30% of error corrections and error recognition, to begin with error recognition, then error correction, and then substitution. Then, so if you could edit, and we could be able to really save lots of precious resources and time frames. So it's no doubt it's time saving. Now, clarity. Uh, if it improves our structure of the written work, clear sentence constructions, also eliminate ambiguity in writing. Well, think of ambiguity, ambiguous statement, ambiguous uh, conclusions, or how do we check on the ambiguity? How do we remove ambiguity in our writing? Ambiguity removal. Can you get me some of the ways we can clarify the things? Ambiguity removal ways. How can we do that? First of all, we need to avoid those lexes we're ourselves not sure of. Many of our writers, they go for the words and expressions they're not themselves sure of. So why to go for, yes, active voice could help us, because passive voice, sometimes we really don't know what's being said, overstated, underestimated, what is being referred to, or we don't know exactly who are we referring to. But sometimes the other way around, right? Passive voice will be more, clearer, and it will remove the ambiguity, because when we think of active voice, the individuals can have their own biases, and yeah, obviously synonyms, simple words, substitutions, also to make it, plain and dry, like it has to be. It doesn't have to be cosmetically arranged, or can be like we say, It doesn't have to be so bombastic. Doesn't sound to be hyperbole. Doesn't have to be oxymoronic. Doesn't have to be a special literary device that the writer, the readers, they're not aware of. What's the point? It would fall flat if we really can't make it understandable or drive the ideas home to the reader. The whole yes, structure sentence carefully and clearly so that we don't go for complex, compound, simple sentences. If we could join simpler sentences with conjunctions and all, that makes our task easier. Because sometimes ambiguity comes from complex sentences where we don't know where the focus is. Who is the doer? Who is the agent? And what are we really referring to? So improvement of clarity eliminate ambiguity, and writing would have helped so improvement in clarity. Now some of them are freely available, depends upon how much we can afford to spend on being beneficiary of these tools. Now do you think tools should be provided to education institution? This is a good debatable topic here. What do you think, guys? Should we ask for it? I mean, obviously it depends upon the institutional policies, also depends upon yes. So yeah, what's the point, what's the big deal of not asking for it? If anything comes for handy and free, and yes, uh, we can ask for, yes, yeah. So but oversimplification makes the paper unsophisticated. Oh, you're right. So oversimplification, what do you mean by oversimplification? Every language, every word is potent enough, and there's no language which can be called simplified except that which are informally like textual and emojis, based on emojis. So every language is has to be powerful enough and is powerful enough. In fact, I'm of the belief that there's nothing like simple English and not simple English. English is English. We have the lexes, and every word is own potential. It depends upon how you drive it. It's all about the usage in the right context, the right person, for the right intended meaning. So I don't know. I'm really I'm bewildered at. I don't have any input for whether institutional assistance should come from for this. But it would be great if now. How do we get our efficiency enhanced in the research with this? Obviously, it boosts productivity. It changes our approach in our projects. It's like more time for critical thinking interpretation. So we need to have our own ways of looking at things, perspective and critical thinking abilities. So obviously an improvement in quality, writing quality will come from the right usage and individual writing styles. And consistent academic voice. What do you mean by consistent academic voice? That means your write-up and your dissertation all should reflect as if it is consistent in your tone and register. And you must maintain your personal style. Every individual writer has his own personal specific style. So language support for non-native speakers. Yes, we are L2 learners, right? We're not L1 learners and writers. So it helps in L2 writing, like in the first language predominance in our write-up. And it's no wonder that our write-up is loaded with our schema coming from L1. So we can have attained the confidence of native like English writers, but not need to, we don't have to aim for the perfection. And then, of course, ethical considerations will obviously, whatever we do, there's nothing without ethical guidelines. So, what are the potential drawback I can think of? Over reliance, yes, really bad. If you think if all job will be
Sorry
done by
to interrupt, Dr. Muhammad. We've only got like 10 minutes or so, or maybe less. And I think it's better if we leave these last 10 minutes for the audience to share their questions and probably have a discussion around their comments and questions, if you don't
okay,
mind.
fantastic. I'm going to wind up. future of and best practices, embracing in academia. Okay, what questions do you have about? And if you have questions in regarding fields of study and ensure some use of, let me quickly catch up with whatever I have got. Guys, you are familiar with the cited styles, I guess. So we have different cited styles. It shows academic integrity and avoids plagiarism. Also, we have APS style, American Psychological Association styles in common. We have to follow conventions. We have MLS styles, we have Chicago styles, and we have personal discipline styles and a discipline depending upon. Now, what do you think of writer's block in academy? Yeah, we always talk about this. Everyone has suffers from this. So sometimes we are overwhelmed by complex ideas. Sometimes we struggle with academic language. Sometimes we need to refine, to learn how to have a right approach. And gradual language refinement comes handy because we cannot be writers overnight. We need to brush up. We need to groom ourselves. We need to do practices, drafts after draft, with revisions and terminologies. Perfection leading to procrastinations. We don't have to be perfect. We just need to be writers first and then good writers next. Tracking writing progress, of course. Text structures, structure outline. We have talked about this. Fear of plagiarism has to be removed, and we can have we can embrace linguistic diversity as an L2 writers. So now, getting stuck mid-writing, we have to re-engage, we have to adopt this technology. Free writing helps us to have confidence. And if you have your own academic phrase bank, that will help in your research writings. That's all I have for tonight. Hopefully, I have shed some light on certain issues of academic writing. I'm all out for your queries and concerns, and if you have, please do so.
Thank you so much, Dr. Muhammad. Thank you, Mr. Yahya. For everyone who's interested in receiving a certificate, for attendance certificate, please fill out the form Mr. Yahya Al-Ghamdi just posted on the chat box. Other than that, if you have any questions um, to Dr. Muhammad regarding improving writing, your academic writing, please do so. You can use your mic or type in your questions or comments on the chat box.